Welcome to Austin Eras, the podcast that unravels Austin's transformation into a 21st century boomtown and explores its potential future. Brought to you by Collective Advisors, Austin Eras takes you on a journey through the city's evolving landscape and rich history, offering insights into its dynamic past, present, and future.
Welcome to the Austin Eras podcast. I'm your host, Adam Flagg, and today's guest is the definition of transformation, creativity, and community impact. He's a one-time Grammy-nominated producer, a two-time Grammy-nominated artist, and a three-time TEDx talker. 2017 Austin Out of the Year from the Austin Under 40 Awards. So yes, we're in for a very good time today. SaulPaul. SaulPaul's story is as powerful as his performances, from growing up in foster care and spending time incarcerated to graduating from the University of Texas with a 4.0 GPA and building a nationally recognized brand that blends music, mentorship, and mission. He's lived every lyric he writes. He's the founder of Changewater, a beverage company that donates 50% of profits to schools and nonprofits, and the visionary behind Skill Builders Career Academy and $1 Million Dreams Workforce Development Initiative. He's empowering underserved communities through hard skills, life skills, and economic opportunity. He's spoken at Harvard, USC, and Georgetown. He's rocked 125,000 students in 33 states?
33 states.
And when he's not on stage, he's building the future right here in Austin. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. We're about to hear the story of an artist, entrepreneur, and changemaker who proves that your past doesn't define you, but your purpose just might.
I love it. I'm intrigued as to what we're going to talk about. You just said it all right there in the bio.
Well, you know,
Thank you for having me. That's a wrap.
Thank you for being here. I think my first memories of you were at the Austin Under 40 Awards, and I think you were nominated, and I'd heard about you. I knew you were doing great things in Austin. You not only won your category, you won Austin Out of the Year, but at the end, there was a live band up there. Next thing I know, you're on stage performing.
That was a special moment.
Yeah.
That was a special night in general. The freestyle with the band, that's par for the course. You know, that's what I do. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, I think one shouldn't be too surprised about what happens in their business. Kind of like a coach coach on a football field or something. Like
sure.
The whole stadium's cheering and the coach is kind of like, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how I live life. Like things that I'm planning are happening, but I never planned to win the Austin Out of the Year award. Didn't even know it existed, actually. The coolest thing that me and my wife always joke about is how after I won the first award, like my mind was blown. Didn't expect that. So we're like outside and celebrating each other and just like, this is crazy. Can't believe it. And somebody comes and taps me on the shoulder and they're like, hey, can you come back inside? And taken aback, like why? Like, I don't really care what else is going on. And they're like, no, if you could just come back inside. And that's when they were like, okay, and now Austin Out of the Year, and they go through the process. And I won that, and that was like a unique moment of like surprise and awe, and it was profound, especially since the walk-up song was like a song that I wrote, and when before you go, they ask you, like, if you win whatever award, what song would you like to walk up to? And my walk-up song was Mama. It's a song that one of my most popular songs, a heartfelt song. And so that was just a full circle, monumental moment. So that's why that'll always be special.
I watched a little bit of your TEDx talks online. I think you did the Mama song as one of your TEDx's. Is that right?
I'm sure I have. There's lyrics in the song where, I spell her name, like Pearlie, or call her Miss Collins. May she rest in peace. See, she be why I be me. Mama raised a monster, left the world with a beast. And that spells Pearlie. And the craziest thing, coolest thing is, like, I'll be traveling, touring, meet some stranger who's a fan, and they know my music, and then they'll pat me on the back and be like, man, Pearlie's so proud of you. And I realized, like, wow, like, because she's been, she's no longer with us. She passed away before I graduated high school or did any of the great feats that you mentioned in my bio. But she saw it. That's why she's part of my why and why I do what I do. Yeah. I recognize that you can see things in other people before they can, and you can support that, and you can serve that, and you can encourage, because she definitely did that for me when I had no vision for my future. In hindsight, I realized she saw it the whole time.
That's incredible. So I want to talk a little bit more about your past, because your past really leads us to where you are today. I mean, reading your bio, your actual birth mother passed away when you were 3 years old. You had a father that was not present at home. You were in foster care, and your mom to you was your grandmother. Is that right?
That's correct.
Tell me about this, because this is, I mean, people have hard stories and things that they've been challenged by, but you truly went through a lot of challenges as a child.
This is true. Traumatic is what they try to tell me. The interesting thing is, as I was living it, I didn't feel that way. My grandmother was amazing. Everybody called her Big Mama. She was that was her name in the family. That was her name in the neighborhood, the community. I called her Mama because she was like literally the only mother that I knew. Even when my mom passed away, I was with her that night at 3 years old. Like, she was my babysitter, and so she was the only mother that I knew. And even though she raised me in extreme poverty, like I knew we weren't rich. I knew we weren't middle class even, but I had no idea how poor we actually were until, later in life. And, I went to college and got to experience the world and some affluence. And I realized the reason why I didn't understand how poor I was growing up is because my home was full of love. And that makes me realize that's definitely influenced me. It's why I show love. It's why I do what I do, how I do it, because I've experienced it and I saw how, I guess in hindsight, maybe it's why I'm not traumatized by all that I went through, even though practically it was tragic, traumatic, and horrific.
So your Big Mama essentially transformed a lot of the way you see the world today.
Definitely. And
I think that's incredible. And I didn't know this about you. She passed away before you went to college.
She did. She passed away the summer between my junior and senior year in high school. She passed away on the 4th of July. I'm an artist now, and everything I do is artistic, right? Like, that's really how I approach things. I didn't know I wasn't, and I became an artist as a young adult, but I was an artist when I was young. I just didn't know it.
Yeah. And
so I realized how I see things. The artist in me sees like symbolism in things. I always realized that like that was symbolic to me when she passed away on the 4th of July, because that holiday is Independence Day.
Yeah.
And I always saw it in my mind like, man, I'm really independent now, right? Like, no mom, no dad. The one person in the world that loves me is my grandmother. And now she's gone. And that was the point when it was like me against the world.
So you go to UT, you get into University of Texas from where you came from, you got there, and everything is going well. You're in class, everything's coming along.
We'll talk about that in class part. But
okay. So you make it about a semester and a half, and then something that I wouldn't have expected in your story happens to you. Tell us a little bit about where your life went after you go to UT.
Yeah, it was 3 semesters actually, like a year and a half. I made the joke about like, was I in class? It's because I made it all the way to college on natural talent, right? Like I was in the gifted and talented program in school, naturally did well academically, get a scholarship, I go to college. There's no reason for me to believe that now I should have to behave differently than I did the previous 18 years of my life, right? So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just skate through while I'm here in college, give the least amount of effort and get the greatest result. And that's not how it worked out. So, I love just talking about these things, right? Because, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business person. I'm always coaching and teaching and mentoring. And it's like business. Like, it's your business. You got to like run your business. You need to manage your business. And that's what it was like. I didn't know that when I was in college, because it was like, oh, wow. If I don't go to class, like, they don't take attendance. If I don't turn in my homework, nobody says anything. Exactly right. That's laughable now. So it's adults. It's like, I thought I was getting away until like, transcripts come out and it's, oh, snap. Like, or when I had to take that final and it's 50% of the grade, whatever it was. And it was like, wow, I was just making these choices. But it took me 3 semesters to hit that rock bottom, flunk out, lose my academic scholarship. And now, like, it got really real. Things that you don't think about. Anybody who's been to college, you go to college, you got your semester, you start in August, you finish in December, right, for the most part. And then you don't start back school till like mid-January. Okay, so everybody else, they go back home to their permanent residence.
Sure.
When you're an orphan or someone like me who grew up and the only person, you don't have a permanent residence. Like, I had no home to go to. So first semester in college, right? I leave, boom, I'm in college. This is great. They close down the semester. They close down the school. I can't stay on campus, and it's like, oh wow, like where'd I go? So I had to figure it out, and then multiply that times what it's like when I'm kicked out of school now, like on scholastic probation. The university says, hey, take a breather. Take some time. Think about if this is where you want to be. You can't come here. I don't know where you're going to go, but you can't come here for the next semester. But I still had no home to go to, and now I'm ultimately homeless. And so I resorted back to a life that I knew. My grandmother was amazing. I grew up in her home, but her home was in the middle of one of the worst ghettos in Houston. And so that was the culture. That was the environment I knew. So I resorted back to what I knew. And so in less than 4 months, I was convicted of 3 additional felonies. Because we didn't talk about the part where when I was 17, I got arrested by the FBI, got probation for that. I was actually in college on probation, deferred adjudication as they call it. And now once I got scholastic probation and kicked out of school, resorted to a life of crime. Now I got convicted of 3 additional felonies. That made a total of 4, and I'm sitting in Texas. Actually, I'm sitting in the county jail first and ultimately Texas State Penitentiary.
I read that you were sentenced to 10 years but only had to serve 2. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, it was 10 years. It was 4 felonies, 10 years if you add up all the charges. Yeah, I believe in miracles. That's why I'm so – it's not optimism. It's faith. It's like faith manifested. Because, faith is like when you believe something can happen, though there's no proof of it. Most of my life, all these great feats are not faith to me. It's like, dude, I've seen miracles. I am a miracle. I've witnessed miracles. I've seen how it works out if you just do what you're supposed to do. Because, I was sitting in the penitentiary, and that was unique as well. Because I go to college, there's nobody from my community, my neighborhood, my school at the University of Texas at Austin. I was an anomaly. When I'm in the Texas State Penitentiary at 20 years old, convicted of 4 felonies, sadly, it felt like a family reunion or a neighborhood reunion. It was like, whoa, all my friends from elementary, middle school, high school, they're all in the same place, which is a different conversation in general because when you start talking about the school-to-prison pipeline.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible thing.
So I'm in prison and I'm seeing like my neighborhood, and I realized that it was my choices that landed me there. And I needed, if I wanted to change, I would have to change my choices. I realized that if I wanted to change, that I could change my choices and change my life. And then that's also when I developed my faith. My grandmother actually raised me in church, and so I had great church attendance, but no faith.
Yeah.
And so that rock bottom space for me became a place where those seeds were like watered, and then my faith sprouted, and then I started believing, and then I developed a vision, started doing things that people told me I couldn't do, but I had faith, right, because it wasn't proven at that point, and then I saw things happen. So yeah, I was in prison, convicted of, I was in prison, I had 10 years, but miraculously I got out in 2, and it wasn't people quickly, so good behavior. No, the first year was that neighborhood reunion. There were no lessons learned, but once I did get like, okay, wait, I had this epiphany. Like, I think life is the sum total of my choices. If I change my choices, I can change my life. I believe God is real. I believe if I do what I'm supposed to do, it'll all work out. And even though there are things that I can't control, like when I make parole, when I get out, can I get back into college at UT? Can I live a fruitful life now? Can I flourish? Because these people are trying to project small visions on me, right? Like my grandmother, she didn't have much, but she had big vision.
Yeah.
She had a big vision for my life. And myself, I'm a big thinker. And all the people that were supposed to help me had these small goals. Like, hey, if you get out, you could probably go to, they had no vision for higher education. They were just like, you could get a job, and then you could you could not be a recidivist. And I was like, I'm African American. I'm not. Okay, y'all didn't get that joke. I was like, I don't even know what recidivist was. It's not an ethnicity. It's like when you go to jail, you go to prison, you get out and you go back. Yeah, they were using all these big words. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm not gonna be a recidivist. And it was like, I discovered like, which led into like who I am now and why I do what I do. I had to unlock my own greatness because I'm like, these people they weren't going to do it. They didn't have a big enough vision and dream for.
So I'm going to bury a little bit of this story because I love that it feels like the turning point for you was your faith. And in a lot of ways, you realize those decisions you're making and how you could kind of turn your life around. But I think my question for you is, I'm going to bury the lead. You went back to UT. You got a 4.0. You graduated. You did all the stuff you're supposed to do. I'm going to say that's incredible. But I actually want to dig a little bit more about where you went next, because to me, you used music as a platform to kind of get you to where you wanted to be. So I really want to understand a little bit about where you got your voice, your platform, your power for music. When did that happen? When did you first kind of realize you had this talent?
Well, I grew up consuming music. Like music was like life to me. And then, I started to write a little bit when I was in prison, but that's just because, it's a boring place.
Yeah.
Once you get past the scariness of it, the fact that you could, die there, make that decision like, well, that's not happening. Then it's like, okay, this is kind of boring. So, I started writing and whatnot. Started reading actually, and started writing. But it got real when I got out of prison. And there was like this journey back to the University of Texas. Because I made parole, I get out, I parole to Houston. I want to move back to Austin, but now I don't have the scholarship, so I have to pay my way. I have to pay some debts, various things like that. And it was like, okay, so I'm working, and I don't have a vehicle. I'm catching the bus in Houston. Houston's huge. Anywhere of significance in Houston is like a 2-hour plus bus ride, and I'm on the bus, like catching the bus to work. And then when work's over after an 8-hour, 9-hour day, and you're hot and tired, and it's like you get back on the bus and you ride back home. And it was during those rides when I was sitting on the bus and I was dreaming when I would start writing, because I just had this vision for my life, and then I could get some actual music and some beats and start freestyling. So that's when I discovered like I didn't just have to be a consumer of music, but I could also be a producer. And then I was invited to years later, I was invited to the studio by some friends of mine who I considered real musicians, real artists. And they was like, hey man, you should write a verse. I'm like, what's a verse? And they were like, 16 bars. I'm like, what's 16 bars? 16 measures. It was this whole thing. Didn't understand it, but figured it out, like wrote my first verse at least, and then something clicked. It was like, oh, I think this is what I'm born to do. Like it was just this moment. The only other time that happened is when I gave a keynote and spoke to a room for the first time. I just thought I was volunteering and giving back. Like, yeah, this is what I should do. And I was at a school and I spoke, and it was like, that was years after I wrote my first verse, right? And it was like, oh, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. That's why later I had to reconcile that, right? Because these are two distinct things, and I could have chose, it was like a fork in the road. Instead of going left or right, I chose to go straight, creating my own lane, became a musician with the message, and then, as they say, the rest is history.
I mean, that's so you get two opportunities in your life to recognize talents that you didn't even know that you had.
That part.
And that's just illuminating the fact that happened to you, and it happened to you within a fairly short span of time in your youth, right? In your 20s at some point. Correct. And you discover these two things, and I mean, you end up getting back to Austin. This journey in Houston, you get back to Austin. You paid your way through school.
I did, yeah.
And so you graduate. You're doing this. You're living your life. And did you get right into music right after graduating, or is this a path as well?
It was a path. I was in school. I got into the School of Communications. Othell Ballage was my academic advisor in the School of Liberal Arts. I always like to shout out Othell because I just remember him. He was great at his job. I would meet with him and he'd ask me all these questions and I didn't know answers to. And he's like, "Well, what do you like? What do you want to do?" And most of the listeners on here, they're too young. This is eras, so they might be from the era where MTV.
Yeah.
Before they showed 16 and Pregnant on loop 24/7.
Oh, jeez.
They actually used to play music videos. And all I did was watch music videos. Like, that was it, just watch music videos. And I just remember my academic advisor being like, so like, what do you like? He's trying to get me to talk, right? Like, I talk a lot now. I'm quite loquacious now, but then it was like, I don't know, music. TV, cable, whatever, right? And he's like, what do you like to watch? MTV, what on MTV? Music videos. And he shares like, well, like a music video is just like a mini movie, right? So we have a great film school here at UT. Like maybe you could get into the film school, like in radio, television, film, and then you could learn how to like make movies or make music videos. And that was just this, whoa, I hadn't thought about that. And then I pulled that thread and looked into it and realized that, yes, we do have a radio, television, film department. It's one of the best. It's competitive to get into. I got kicked out of school for making poor grades. So my grades were not up to par. But again, right, at this point, I realize faith is a real thing. Deeper than faith, I like to try to make it practical for people. It was like, okay, cool. I'm not intimidated by the big goal. And so, like, on paper, like, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, I should not be able to get in. And I was like, well, no, that's just a goal. And goals are meant to be accomplished if you set them and you come up with a plan and you put in the work and have the persistence and patience to actually accomplish it. And that's what I did. So my goal became to get into the RTF program at UT. I did what I could. I got in, and that opened up an entirely new world to me because I realized not only am I a musician and artist, not only am I a speaker, I'm a storyteller. And I think really that's the core of it because like a song is really just a story. A book is a story. A speech is a story. And so me, I see things different, right? It's that. And I'm like, oh, like if I can master this craft, then yes, I can put it in different mediums, but it's really all about the story.
You've done well at that. I mean, the Grammys have recognized you as a producer and as an artist, and you've spoken 3 times for TEDx. I think they're all online if anyone wants to catch them. They're great.
This is cool. So we're doing this. I haven't talked about it. It's not a secret, but I just don't know how to I wanted to get it shine, but I've been invited. I'll give my 4th TED Talk. I've been invited to give my 4th TED Talk here shortly. So
breaking news.
Breaking news, yeah.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Nashville, Indiana.
Nashville, Indiana.
That's what I said. Like Tennessee, they're like, no, like Nashville, Indiana. A very beautiful, small town. Pretty cool how this happened. Or the story they told me, I won't eat up all our time, but I've discovered you attract what you are, right? I hope people are listening and like listen to catch some jewels and some insights. That's how I spend my time. I'm always trying to catch something. And so like that's a life lesson right there. Like you attract what you are. And that's discouraging to some people because then they got to deal with, like, wait.
Their own life choices.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But anyway, you attract what you are, and I ended up this person, I was somewhere and doing what I do, and somebody, because I've done all these TED Talks, and I've never, like, applied for a TED Talk. Like, I coach people, and they're like, so how do you apply? How do you get a TED Talk? I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I've only been invited to give them. Okay. But, yeah, the person who, Brown County Schools, TEDx Brown County Schools, and person almost moved me to tears. Like that doesn't happen. Like she told this story of how they didn't. This when she approached TED about hosting a TED Talk in their community, they told her no. They were like, "Oh yeah, no, you don't qualify," and she didn't take no for an answer. Felt like me when I was in prison, right? Like it sounded like me, and I was moved by her because like she just dreamed, and then. And long story short, she gets flown out, goes to TED. She becomes a star in the community. They support her. They actually gave her the license. She's hosting. This is not their first now, and they're building it out. And it was just so cool because she didn't take no.
Yeah.
Just like I was just saying, right? Like, and so this is Mavericks, Icons, and Geniuses. That's the theme for this one.
Which one are you?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Might be a little bit of Maverick. I want to talk a little bit about your business goals and things that you've been doing because you took this platform of music and, like I mentioned, 125,000 students, 33 states. You've been touring all over the country, sharing your stories in schools. How did you start that? How do you even get into that?
Well, that's cool. The tour, we went to more than 100 schools. We saw 125,000 students. We went to 33. It's actually 32 states. The 33rd was a whole different tour. That's just when we went to Iowa in a different year and, went to 16 plus schools in that community. But I started this campaign, Be the Change, right? The Be the Change Challenge. And I had started pre-pandemic, but what I realized was I've been blessed to do a lot, right? Like I've not just did TED Talks, but done keynotes at, Meta, at Google, Johnson & Johnson, different cities and, corporations and whatnot, all these like Adobe, Calendly. I've done all that. And at the same time, also go to correctional facilities or Title I schools. That's like the poor school districts. And I go to all these places, and when the pandemic hits, everybody shuts down. And then post-pandemic, when people start to slowly open up, I go visit these schools. And it was like just the worst. Like, you had to see it. Like, I know we all collectively went through a pandemic, but what I realized was the pandemic didn't hit everyone the same. And it really hit our K through 12 schools. And because of that, I just felt like, wow, I need to serve these educators who I have the utmost respect for. Because before the pandemic, I already thought that they were underpaid and unappreciated and overworked. And now post-pandemic, it was worse.
Or so, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, cool. I got to figure out how to serve them, add value and edify their lives, and also the students, because I saw how it literally like shook these students. And you know, I'm good at what I do, and a person who's good at what they do should get paid appropriately. So in the process, I created this problem for myself. Like, I get paid a lot of money to show up and do what I do. And the problem was I priced myself out of being able to serve K through 12 schools. Yeah, but I guess it's the maverick in me, right? Like, or the boss. Like, I'm gonna do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I'm like, well, I just got to figure out like how to get paid. Time is still money, or I still need to generate wealth, right? Like, I'm first generation everything, so I don't just worry about me. I have to worry about my children, my grandchildren. I have to worry about legacy. And that's a crazy thing, because people will often condescendingly want to help people who don't have much, but like there's no generational wealth in that. It's more like, here's a meal, here's this, here's that. I just realized like I have an inherent responsibility to do more than just one, look out for me. And it's like, not only am I serving the community, but like, how will like my child or my grandchild, like, do they need to start from the bottom like I did when I started? I mean, I often say one reason why I'm famous is not like all the musical successes. It's, I love telling young people, like, 'cause, you know, kids are always worrying about, like, are you famous? Are you famous? And it's the point now, it's like, yeah. But really, I love to tell them, it's like, I'm famous because I succeeded when everybody else thought I would fail.
Yeah.
And that part is really key. Like, oh no, it's not like this the glitz glamour part. It's like, no, everybody just thought I would fail. So everybody's basically surprised, like, my gosh, look at the little black boy from the ghetto with no mom, no dad, who went to prison. Look at what he did, right? And it's like, that's not my perspective. Like,
no.
My grandmother, when I go home, I got aunts. You know, my grandmother's daughters, like, they love me. They definitely are inspired. But I think, like, they're like, did you put the toilet seat down? Right? They're not impressed by because they saw that, though, right? They expect that. And so my expectation is, yeah, I should succeed. If I don't do stupid stuff, make poor decisions, I should succeed. Deeper than that, like, who am I going to help, right? Because I'm concerned about communities, and that's why communities are not growing, because there becomes this culture around it where people are just so, they're conditioned to believe, like, I shouldn't succeed anyway, so if I do succeed, yay me, look at me. And it's like, that's a small goal.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's where I was. My grandmother sold that into me, and I realized that it wasn't just about me. And I've been serving in schools for over a decade, and so my biggest tour is 100 schools, 125,000 students, 32 states. The coolest part about that is that they were all Title I schools.
Oh, wow.
And in lieu, and we didn't charge the schools anything, right? That's why I started Changewater. But we didn't charge the schools anything. We just went. If they wanted to participate in lieu of some type of compensation, they had to accept. They had the option to accept the Be the Change Challenge. And the Be the Change Challenge is when they come up with their own corporate social responsibility project. They come up with their own volunteerism campaign. And they say, you know what, like, we want to be the change in our community, and then they come up with what that looks like. We don't tell them, like, oh, you need to go do this and go do that. Like, they do their own research. They understand what the need is. They come up with a project, and they execute. And then we don't put a limit, like, oh, you have to get this many hours. You have to do this. It's like, no, just like in real life, because that's how it is in real life, right? I go to these corporations, and there's not a minimum amount of hours you can do. Now, you can be a star and, like, I volunteered 100. Or you could be like, dude, I did 2. You know, I've been there for 4 years, but I did 2 hours. You know, I did 30 minutes a year. Whatever. It's cool. There's no judgment. Thank you for doing what you do. Your part. But we had this moonshot goal, right? I'm all about moonshots. I'm all about big vision to compel people to go further. So our moonshot goal was like, hey, what if everybody that participates in the challenge, we're going to collectively add up all our hours, and our goal will be 50,000 hours. Absurd, but hey, it's a big goal. Long story short, not only did we accomplish it, we exceeded it. We got like 75,000 hours the first round, and then we kept going, and now we're upwards of 100,000 hours.
That's incredible. So you have people that are just giving back, that are giving their time. They're
coming from communities,
yeah, and they're coming from Title I schools where there's not exactly a lot of funding coming in for them either.
Correct, and this is before they dismantled the DOE and took all the other funds. But hey,
yeah. We're going to head to break in a second, but I want to ask you before we go to break about Change Water. I'm sitting here with this bottle that you generously brought, and it's got SaulPaul's Change Water on it, and it's a beverage company that donates 50% of profits to schools or other areas. You're giving back to the community. How did that idea come about, and what's the biggest lesson you've learned as a social entrepreneur?
The idea came about because I have mentors, business coaches. They would always say, it's amazing what you do, SaulPaul, but there's only one you. What if you get hit by a bus? I was like, one, who thinks like that? Like,
yeah.
You're so morbid. Like, you're so morbid. And they're like, no, but you're the whole business. You can't be the whole business, SaulPaul. I'm like, I'm not the business. I'm pouring into these people. Didn't you just hear? I just poured into 125,000 young people. And they were like, that's great. You're changing lives, but that's not, like, you're the business. And I would hear it and, you know, I'd take it with a grain of salt. But then over time, for years and years, and I would always think, like, okay, how can I build a business that's not based on me showing up and being somewhere, right? Like, so how can I create, like, a product? How can I create something? And I was just looking for the right thing, you know, and being in the music industry, you know, people, they start liquor companies because that's on brand. That's what they do. Me, I'm like, that's not on brand for my audience. And then I discovered that water was more like music because music is universal.
Yeah.
And so is water. And so I was like, I like things that are on brand because that's another cheat code to self-care. When things are connected and natural extensions of what you do, it's not necessarily more work. But if you go do like 8 different things and they're not connected, you're doing 8 different things. If you do 8 things and they're connected, you just, you know, you're going one direction. And so that's where the idea came from. Also ownership, right? Like I just realized it's just this chip on the shoulder, like just coming from poverty. Like, and always thinking about generational wealth. Like, I want to know what can I do that I can own, not like just not be a part of, right? Like, okay. People license it to me or give me their crumbs while they get, because that's what the music industry is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I'm here now. I've been saying it, but I'm really here now. Like, I could do the same show. I just always approach the business model differently, right? You know, I played ACL numerous times, and I've done keynotes. What's unique about me, like, I do the same set, whether it's a keynote or ACL. Like, people can't grasp that. I don't know a cover song. I only write original music, right? So when people think conference or keynote, like, oh, you're doing, like, no, I just do me. Like, I'm just doing me the whole time. And it's weird. I saw how, like, wait, like, in this space, like, the check looks like this. And then in this space, for the exact same service, the check looks like that. And I just realized, and, you know, it was lesser in the music industry. And so that made me approach things different. And then, like, they own it and they do this, and that's cool. I wasn't chasing the fame. I think it also helped that I became a musician later in life. Also, that I grew up poor because, like, they try to sell you the glamour of, like, being a starving artist.
Yeah.
But I just grew up starving. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Don't need that at all.
We're not doing that. So, so that's what led to Change Water, ownership, entrepreneurship, something that was on brand. And then the social entrepreneur part was like, how can I give back? Like, it's like, even when I write a song, right? Like, I'm writing a song that's from my heart, but there's always a meaning in it. And so it's like, how do I please me, write something that's authentic to me, and at the same time, so that if somebody heard it, they could get something from it. And that's an approach that I brought to all my businesses and ventures. So
Change Water is bottled here in Central Texas?
Yep.
Central Texas water.
Central Texas.
Alkaline, premium alkaline water. Kids are drinking. Anyone can drink this.
Anyone can drink it. They can go buy it. Like, we have distribution through KeHE. So anyone can order. If I know this is Austin Eras. So if anyone in the world wants it, or in the U.S., they could reach out to Kehi. But if someone in Austin wants it, they just need to reach out to SaulPaul.com. It became also a way. It wasn't the original goal, but then it became a way to provide jobs.
Yeah.
Because we have a local distributor, and then we took distribution after a while. It's been around for 5 years, almost 5 years now. We launched on Black Friday 2020.
Okay.
That's how I remember it, because it was the pandemic. It was the Friday after Thanksgiving, and I just remember riding around and serving the housing, the unhoused.
Yeah.
Right. That's how we launched. I remember my wife, because it was the pandemic, right? You couldn't really be social. Me and my wife, we made Thanksgiving. We made more than enough, and we made these Thanksgiving plates. And we went and rode around after, the day after, and gave away the food that we had made. I put the pit to work, and it's a lot of brisket.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so we gave away these Thanksgiving meals, these Black Friday meals, with bottles of change water, and that's how we launched. And that's how I remember it. And it was it just felt good, and it was great. We're gonna grow this. Let's become successful, and then we can always give back and be the change.
You've done well so far, it sounds like.
Yeah. I love it. Also, I was inspired. I don't know why that reminded me. Jimmy Buffett.
Really?
That's another reason why. R.I.P. He passed away not too long ago. But Margaritaville.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why. Why change water? Because Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, he used to be a writer for maybe Billboard or a national magazine or newspaper, whatever it was. And he was a musician on the side. And then he makes this song, it becomes a hit. And then he, like me, realized, well, this music industry is a little different. I got a hit, and this is great and all, but this is kind of less than ideal, this business model. And then he ended up getting with a business partner who used to do hotels. And he was like, dude, I see this following you got. Let's work together. And so the other guy was the business guy, and they came together, and then they created Margaritaville. And then they took that brand, right? Took that, and then took it global. And he died. He died with some generational wealth.
I'm sure he did.
And he didn't have too many quote unquote hit songs, and so that stood out to me. I'm always looking as as an artist, as an entrepreneur. I was like, oh, I like that. I want to build a brand, and then be able to take that brand and leverage it. That's the best way to actually scale, because now it's not about SaulPaul is awesome. This is true, but it's not about SaulPaul. It's about the brand SaulPaul or change water.
Yeah.
Starting to realize how I can take what's natural to me, and that's not a stretch, that's not a reach, that's not a sellout at all. That's just what I do. That's what I've been about. So yeah. So Jimmy Buffett inspired it as well.
I had no idea our podcast would cover Jimmy Buffett today, so thank you for taking it in a fun direction. It's been incredible so far. SaulPaul, we're going to take a quick pause for a message from our sponsor. When we come back, we'll talk to you about what's next for you and for Austin, and what it'll take to keep you here for the long haul.
Calling all Austin business professionals and community leaders. Revitalize your after-work plans, and let's kick off a new tradition with the Austin Social Circuit. Join us for an evening of networking, great food and drinks, and even better company. Expand your circle, enjoy a laid-back vibe, and connect with like-minded Austinites. It's all happening the first Thursday of each month, with locations alternating between North and South Austin to keep things exciting. This initiative is powered by Collective Advisors. Find out the location of our next gathering and learn more by following Collective Advisors on Instagram and LinkedIn. Bring a friend, share the fun, and strengthen our Central Texas community. See you there, Austin.
We're back with SaulPaul, artist, educator, and social entrepreneur. Let's look ahead at where you see Austin and where you see your life. First thing, I'm going to ask you a fun question. What's something that people are usually surprised to learn about you? We've heard a lot about your skills here, music, everything else, but what's something we wouldn't know about SaulPaul?
Wow. I don't know. Initially, back in the day, it would have been that I play guitar, but now that's become part of the identity. In this year, that when I don't have anything to do, I do nothing. Because people are like, man, what'd you do last week? And I'm like, oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Stream stuff on Netflix, Hulu, or Apple Plus, Apple TV. Like that's what I did. So yeah, I think they'd be surprised by that. I think I party for a living. Like my day job is like have fun, do dope stuff. And so when I'm not scheduled to do anything, I don't do anything.
I like it. So you give yourself that clarity to kind of recharge and be ready for everything else.
That part.
All right. Well, another fun Austin question. What's your favorite under the radar place to take guests when they visit Austin?
Rudy's Barbecue. Under the radar. I guess that counts as under the radar because I think it's definitely one of the premier barbecue spots in the city. I would probably say best, but I want to leave myself open for a sponsorship. You know what I mean? Terry Blacks might want to sponsor me or something. But anyway, all these other great places. But Rudy's is like the go-to. And then I totally forget that it's a gas station.
Yeah.
Because when I bring the guests and they're like, where we going? And then we're driving and we pull up and like, oh, you need gas? I'm like, no, we're here. Like, it's here. I'm like, it's here.
It's consistent. It stays the same. They got high quality standards. I mean, you're right.
Yeah, like extra lean, extra moist, the cream corn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Rudy's is it. The bread, I don't know how their bread is always fresh. I'm like, y'all got to hook up or plug. Like, this is not over-the-counter.
It's never dried out.
Bread, never dried out.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, all right. I like it. Under the radar, Rudy's. And we'll do one more kind of fun Austin one. If you could maintain or keep one weird thing about Austin that's still around, what would it be and why? We talked a little bit before about how we jumped the shark. As the city jumped the shark, we were joking about that term.
They were talking about South by, like that's where I heard that term at. Like, I'm a big fan. Yeah, South by has done no wrong. South by has inspired my business model, right? Like, I do a lot. Somebody's listening, they're like, I'm a little confused. It sounds like, okay, he came from the hood. He went to UT. He's a speaker. He's an artist. He raps. He plays guitar. He writes books. He talks to adults and kids. Affluent and Title I, right? It's a lot. And I learned that from South by. Like, South by, like, does it all. And it's just all under that umbrella. But if I was talking about what keeps the weird, it's like the weird in the city, maybe the bats. I learned recently, I would have never known what bats smell like. Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Like, I was like, I wish I did
guano,
know.
yeah.
Because I smelt one. I smelt some bats like last week, and I would have never known. I just would have thought it was like that's what freeways smell like. But I remember one time somebody was like, "Yeah, like, oh, you smell it?" I'm like, "What's that?" Like, no, it stinks. Like, that's the. And they're like, "No, that's the bats." And now I realize where the bats are. But yeah, and not just on the bridge. They're like randomly
Congress?
across. Yeah.
Yeah, they say we have the largest Mexican free-tailed bat colony in the world under the bridge.
So I think that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
So yeah, especially like us, we go all stand on the bridge and wait and look and see. So yeah.
So in part of your kind of continued movement and doing different things and continuing to kind of capture where your dreams are, I heard you were just on a Texas workforce development podcast recently. So I want to talk to you about workforce because this is something that you continue to kind of amaze in the terms and the twists that you go. But tell me about what the Skill Builders Career Academy, $1 Million Dreams, what that all is about and what gap you're trying to close with it.
I love it. Economic empowerment is the key to success. I'm personally living my best life. And over time, I realized that what allows me to do that is that I'm economically empowered. And I want other people to be able to experience that. Now, myself, I came from poverty, and so it's very rare that I get to live how I live. I like to say, and the way we got to $1 Million Dreams is like I've manifested my $1 Million dreams, and now I'm choosing to empower others to do the same. Because I realize there's a privileged class and unprivileged class. There's like all these things that I figured out. Like, it's just my personality, my nature, my strengths, my abilities, my gifts, how blessed I am. But it should not be that a person has to figure it out on their own for this information that's readily available and out there, but it's not being shared. So that's like my motivation. That's my why. Practically what it looks like, I started this workforce development initiative for 14 to 24-year-olds. It's called $1 Million Dreams. And specifically, we focus on, through $1 Million Dreams, we focus on youth that have aged out of foster care, individuals who've been incarcerated and now are not, those that are on public assistance, those that are in poverty, or youth that are in Title I schools. These are all overlooked groups where it will be ultimately, if something doesn't disrupt it, their situations will be perpetuated.
Yeah.
So that's where we brought this economic empowerment to initially. And then separately, we have Skill Builders Career Academy. Now, Skill Builders Career Academy is what I'm most excited about. We've literally launched a school. We teach hard skills, soft skills, and life skills. And so Skill Builders Career Academy is a school where we teach those skills. $1 Million Dreams is soft skills specifically, and it's those groups that I mentioned.
And Skill Builders Career Academy is open. It's an online academy. How do people get in? Like, what does that look like?
Well, there's benefits for being here in Austin. I know this is Austin Eras. I'm so used to talking local and global at the same time.
You got local right here.
Yeah, this is local. So here in Austin, our office is up, the school is up north, 290 in Cameron Road. We've partnered with some amazing organizations. We have a great location. You can go to skillbuilderscareeracademy.com to find out more about all of that. But it did start specifically online, which was so unique to me. Like, wait, like a trade? Like you could learn a trade virtually. And that's really what excited me about it, because I was introduced to this space because I was hired by different organizations who had these campaigns, and it felt a little off, honestly. It was like I felt like they were reaching out to they wanted to reach certain types of individuals. And I went to an elite university and graduated. My wife has her doctorate. I think education's key, and I felt like some people that maybe were either ignorant or didn't have the best motive were attempting to pigeonhole a certain group, a certain class of people. Like, hey, you can't do this, so you could do that. And that felt a little weird. But then because of, being in the community, working with amazing individuals, understanding that Austin, the city of Austin, our mayor, the Workforce Solutions, and other individuals have created an infrastructure academy and invested I'm going to say this wrong, is it billion? Maybe 25 billion. 25 million. 25 million doesn't sound like...
It sounds like good, but 25 billion sounds crazy.
I should figure that out. Like, I've been hanging around all these big numbers now. Like 25 million was probably the number, but I've been around such ridiculous numbers now. 25 million doesn't sound right. I'm like, I think that's not enough, and it might be 25 million. It might be more, but nonetheless, the city has definitely invested. Right, like we're booming, and it's like, well, how do you build the infrastructure for all this boom? Okay, well, who's going to take advantage of that? And if you want to get to economic empowerment, like remember earlier, like SaulPaul, when did you get into music? Well, when I was working, when I was catching the bus going to my job, becoming gainfully employed and developing a career doesn't have to be like your first and only job. And your like a beginner job doesn't have to be fast food. Your beginner job could be like, I went to Skill Builders Career Academy. I got my HVAC license in under 4 months. Now I'm making $27 to $30. And now, I'm making good money. I can pay bills, support my family, invest in my dream while I build this up. You can do all these things. And so that excited me. I was like, oh, this is different. And now we can control this because we know our heart. We know where we're coming from. Hey, this is how you get on. Because ultimately, that's how I got on. I didn't realize, when I became economically empowered, I was able to invest in my dream. And that's how I got here.
Yeah, it's skill building, it's upskilling. There's a lot to be said for that. I've been reading a lot about how women are outpacing men by a large majority going off to college.
That part,
and there's a lot of men that just don't get there, and then they aren't providing at the level they need to. So I'm not saying this is only for men or only for women, but I think it's awesome that you're doing the upskilling.
That's correct. Yeah, and we have an amazing video. Yeah, a lot of cool things coming up. I think I should be, Small Biz Week is coming up, and maybe. Getting to share some content because I'm working on a whole campaign around it, right? Music, new book, music video, campaign. That's part of our sweet spot, making things culturally relevant, right? Because that's also, we didn't talk about that, but that's what really clicked for me when I was in prison at 20 years old. and I realized like, oh, this is what like Coach Gabe meant. This is what Principal Johnson meant. This is what Unc meant. This is what Miss Williams meant. Because people were telling me the right thing, but they weren't telling me in a relevant way.
Yeah.
So I wasn't hearing it. It wasn't that I was rejecting it, like I just never heard it. And I realized that many times there's a gap because, you know, things aren't being marketed it well. And that's not pointing the finger, it's just like it's just ineffective and inefficient. And so I think that's what we're doing with $1 Million Dreams. Like, we got the marketing part down, and, you know, the message is workforce development and economic empowerment, and with the Skill Builders Career Academy as well. It's also like we understand the culture. We know how to communicate it so that people hear it. And I think once people hear it, not only do they succeed, they go on to be stellar.
Yeah. Incredible. I love that you're committed to that. I know one thing you're doing is you're hosting a festival in Republic Square. You've done that a couple years now. You're doing so many things, but I mean, can you tell me a little bit about the festival and any other kind of things that you do throughout the year that you really want our listeners to hear about?
I want our listeners to go to Skill Builders Career Academy, discover what's available there. That's what we're doing year-round, as well as our $1 Million Dreams initiative. We always have Beat the Change. Last year, I was given a key to the city, and they proclaimed May. You should know this, SaulPaul.
You better remember the date.
It's your day.
What's your day?
Well, actually, you know what? That's good marketing. I try not to mention dates. I don't want to date this. Just every year in May.
Okay, all right.
Every year in May, I've been they gave me a key to a city, and they proclaimed the day as SaulPaul's Beat the Change Day. That's cool because that's my second day. And every year on that day, we're now hosting a festival. This year, it's at Republic Square Park. That's where it was at last year as well. The Downtown Austin Alliance has been very good to us, very supportive. I'm also a little biased because I'm on the board.
Yeah, you're giving back. Thank you.
I'm on the board for the Downtown Austin Alliance, but that's why I wanted to host it there. I also wanted to make sure that we bring young people from across the region downtown so they can understand that, like, those aren't just buildings, that people reside and work in those buildings. They, too, could reside and work in those buildings. And the park is beautiful. It's right there in the middle. So, yeah, we have our $1 Million Dreams Money, Music, and Arts Festival. We have some amazing partners like Joe Bland Construction, Meta, the City of Austin, Austin Energy, amongst others, Goodwill. We have some folks that are like all to create this experience so that young people can come downtown, play, eat, be celebrated, be entertained, inspired, and empowered.
It's amazing. So you've got that going on. That happens every May on Be the Change SaulPaul Day. And I want to talk to finish up a little bit about your journey, your future. You actually, between all the amazing things and all the things that you've been doing, and you actually left, you went to LA for a little bit, you came back to Austin. You went to Atlanta for a little bit, you came back to Austin. You bounced around a little bit. Austin has not always been your place. You obviously started in Houston. What is it about Austin that keeps bringing you back, and what is it about Austin that you think will keep you here?
That's a great question. What keeps bringing me back? It's a great city. I think I figured out what all of the folks that keep moving here figure out. Like, right, we have It's a great city, great weather, great community. It really supported me to. It didn't try to do it on purpose, but like because we have this certain vibe here, it allowed me to be the creative that I am, so that I didn't have to choose. Well, are you gonna rap or are you gonna play guitar? Are you gonna do corporate speaking or are you gonna serve at-risk youth? Are you gonna be an entrepreneur or start a nonprofit? Right? Like I never had to choose because like it's Austin. It's just like do you and figure out a way. Also, it fed the entrepreneur in me, like having a startup. Yeah, like I participated in so many incubators, accelerators, and whatnot, and that was all here. And so that's what it helped me become who I am. I would say I was born in Houston, but I was musically birthed and creatively birthed in Austin. Yeah. So there's this nostalgic place here, like, yeah, this is home. What's gonna keep me coming back? Well, yeah, I'm not approaching it, like a good relationship. I think that might be a toxic relationship if the person always has to figure out some way to keep you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You should actually be trying to figure out, and this is good. Don't miss it. That's literally, I say that to anyone listening. If you're trying to figure out what that person has to do to keep you, like, you might just want to go.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a little bit toxic. If it's a relationship you care about, and instead you should be trying to figure out how you can add value to the relationship. And because you're in a good relationship, then yes, that thing that you're in a relationship with should be proactively trying to figure out how to add value to you anyway, right? And then you communicate. And so that's kind of how I see the city. So it doesn't have to do anything to keep me, but I'm going to do my part and add value. That's why I serve on the numerous boards that I serve on. Downtown Austin Alliance is one of those boards. The Center for Child Protection.
Oh, great.
That's another one.
Wonderful organization.
Jail to Jobs is another great nonprofit. They do amazing work. I serve on that board. Also, Dream Together 2030. And if anybody really wants to know like how to be the change, how to like make an impact in this wonderful city and make it better, make it more richer, go to dreamtogether2030.com. That's a great coalition of individuals and organizations that have come together, and we're dreaming together how to make Austin the best it can be by 2030.
Okay.
So those are some of the places where I serve, some of the things that I do. I'll be adding my value to the city, and because the city has so many rich organizations, like creatively, culturally, I know that people are constantly. Shout out to Raisin McIntosh at the Downtown Austin Alliance. Raisin is a hero. Raisin's a great example of like making sure that Austin, in partnership, she's a vice president of active urbanism at Downtown Austin Alliance. But it's like making sure that downtown is inclusive and a place for all. Even upcoming, there's a in the fall Vibe Weekend, which has been in the works for a couple years now, and now it'll debut this year. But it's making downtown this inviting place for any and everyone, for everyone to see themselves in it and to come play a part.
I love it. I love your vision and how you're giving back. SaulPaul, it's been a true journey on this podcast. Thank you for bringing your stories, your energy, your mission to Austinaras. From the stage to the schools to the workforce, you're building something bigger than music. You really are, and we're honored to help amplify it. So to our listeners, if you felt something today, you want to share the episode with a friend, drop us a review, or keep following the stories that make Austin. Please listen, please share what we're doing. And SaulPaul, until next time, thanks for listening to Austinaras.
Okay.
Austin Eras, featuring Adam Flagg, is brought to you by Collective Advisors. Collective Advisors offers investment advisory services through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Guests on Austin Eras are not affiliates of CWM LLC, and opinions expressed by guests may not reflect those of CWM LLC. This show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal, tax, or other professional advice. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a qualified professional.